person who sells you golf balls at your local pro shop, the instructor who fixed your slice last summer, the guy running the members championship at the course down the road. In theory, any one of them could tee it up in a major championship, standing on the first tee, alongside Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy with a real, if slim, chance to win. That is not true of the Masters. It is not true of the U.S. Open, and it is not true of the Open. There is exactly one major in all of golf where an everyday working club professional can play their way in and, at least on paper, walk away as the champion. It's the PGA Championship. And the reason why is tied to the single biggest misunderstanding in the entire sport. So let's break down how the PGA Championship actually works, because almost nothing about it is quite what most fans assume. Here's the confusion that trips up nearly every casual fan. When you hear the letters PGA, you probably think of the PGA Tour, the circuit where the world's best professionals compete every week for millions of dollars. But the PGA Championship is not run by the PGA Tour, like it's run by a completely different organization called the PGA of America. And that one distinction changes absolutely everything. The PGA of America isn't a tour for elite players. It's a professional association, one of the largest working sports organizations in the world, made up of nearly 30,000 club and teaching professionals. These are the people who run the pro shops, give the lessons, fit your clubs, and keep the game running at courses all across the country. They are the backbone of everyday golf. The organization was founded in 1916 to represent them, to grow the game, and to set the standard for how golf is taught and run across the country. And because it's their organization that owns and operates the PGA Championship, they made sure of one thing from the very beginning. Their own members would always have a seat at the table. That is the key that unlocks the entire event. And it's why the PGA Championship has an identity unlike any other major in golf.
So here's how that actually works in practice. Every single year, the PGA Championship reserves 20 spots in its field specifically for club professionals, not touring pro, club pros. To earn one of those spots, they have to compete in a separate event called the PGA Professional Championship, the national championship for the PGA of America's working members. The top 20 finishers from that event punch a ticket straight into the major, and the PGA Professional Championship is no gentle warm-up. It's hundreds of the country's best club and teaching pros battling over multiple rounds for those coveted 20 places, plus the pride of being crowned the finest working professional in America. Think about what that actually means. Someone who spends 50 weeks a year behind a counter selling gloves and giving lessons can, in a single good week, qualify to play in the same field as the best golfers on the planet. Now, no other major does this. At the Masters, the U.S. Open, and the Open, an ordinary club pro has virtually no realistic route in. At the PGA Championship, 20 of them are guaranteed a place every single year. And every so often, one of them turns into a legend. The perfect example came in 2023 at Oak Hill in New York. A 46-year-old club professional named Michael Block, who taught lessons at a course in California, qualified for the PGA Championship as one of those 20 club pros. Nobody expected a thing from him, but Block didn't just show up to make up the numbers, and he played the golf of his life. He made the cut, which almost no club pro ever does, and then he kept right on going, playing in front of enormous galleries, and eventually paired with Rory McIlroy himself on Sunday. Block made a hole-in-one on the 15th hole, a genuine ace in a major on live national television. The crowd absolutely erupted. He finished tied for 15th, beating dozens of the best touring professionals in the world, earned a spot in the following year's championship, and became an overnight folk hero. Grown fans were chanting his name. Tour pros were lining up to shake his hand. For one unforgettable week, a regular teaching professional was the most beloved man in all of golf. Living, breathing proof of the entire idea behind this championship.
To understand why the PGA of America built the event this way, you have to go back to the very beginning. The PGA Championship was first played in 1916, making it one of the oldest tournaments in all of professional golf. It was created in the same year the PGA of America itself was founded. And both owe their existence to a wealthy department store magnate named Rodman Wanamaker. Wanamaker believed that America's fast-growing community of golf professionals needed an organization of their own and a championship to crown their best player. He helped bring them together. He put up the prize money and he donated the trophy that would go to the winner. That trophy is still awarded today, and it is unlike any other prize in the sport. It's called the Wanamaker Trophy, named after the man himself. And the first thing anyone notices about it is the sheer size. The Wanamaker Trophy is enormous, the largest trophy in all of major championship golf. It stands over 2 feet tall and weighs in at around 27 pounds. So heavy and so unwieldy, the champions have famously struggled just to lift it for the cameras. More than one winner has very nearly dropped it. A few have joked that carrying it around is a workout in itself. When you win the PGA Championship, you don't just earn a title. You are handed a giant silver monument, and you officially become known, quite simply, as the PGA Champion. And that trophy has a wild history all its own. After Walter Hagen won the championship in 1925, the Wanamaker Trophy simply vanished. The story goes that Hagen left it behind after a night out, and it stayed lost for years before finally turning up in the basement of a sporting goods company in Detroit in 1930. Golf's single biggest trophy had gone missing for half a decade, and almost nobody noticed it. But the championship hasn't always looked the way it does today. For its first 4 decades, from 1916 all the way through 1957, the PGA Championship wasn't a stroke play event at all. It was contested as match play, golfers going head to head, hole by hole in a knockout bracket, far more like a tennis draw than the stroke play majors we know now. That format produced one of the game's earliest superstars, Walter Hagen, who at one stretch won the championship 4 years in a row in the 1920s, an almost unthinkable run of match play dominance. Some of the most famous head-to-head duels in early golf history were fought inside this bracket. Legends grinding each other down over 36 holes in a single day. But match play could be wildly unpredictable, and it didn't always deliver the star-studded final that organizers and increasingly television networks wanted. So in 1958, the PGA Championship switched over to the 72-hole stroke play format it still uses to this day. There's one more big change that most fans haven't fully registered, and that's when the championship is actually played. For most of its history, the PGA Championship was the final major of the golf season, held in the heat of August. It even carried the dramatic nickname Glory's Last Shot because it was the very last chance each year to win a major. But in 2019, everything shifted. The PGA Championship was moved from August all the way to May as part of a major reshuffle of the entire professional golf calendar. Now, instead of closing out the major season, it's the second major of the year, landing right after the Masters in April and before the U.S. Open in June and the Open in July. It went from being the grand finale to a springtime centerpiece. just as the season is really heating up. For the players, that new May date changed the rhythm of their entire year almost overnight. So who fills out the rest of that field? The PGA Championship features around 156 players, and it is widely considered to have one of the deepest, strongest fields of any tournament in golf. In fact, it's often argued that no major assembles a stronger lineup from top to bottom. Alongside those 20 club professionals, the field is built through exemptions. Past PGA champions are handed a lifetime exemption. They can play the championship for the rest of their careers. Winners of the other major championships get in for several years. The top players in the world rankings qualify automatically, as do recent winners on the major professional tours. The result is a field that crams almost every elite golfer on earth into the same event as those 20 everyday club pros, the very best in the world, and the guys from the local range, all chasing the same giant silver trophy. It's a genuinely surreal contrast you won't find anywhere else in sports. Multi-millionaire superstars and small-town teaching pros walking the same fairways in the same major in the very same week.
When the tournament itself gets underway, the format is straightforward and demanding. 72 holes of stroke play over 4 days, and the lowest total score wins. After the first 36 holes, the field is cut, with only the top 70 players and ties advancing to the weekend. For a touring pro, making that cut is just another day at the office, but for a club professional, simply surviving to play on Saturday and Sunday is a career-defining achievement, the kind of story they'll be telling their members about for the rest of their lives.
And winning the whole thing changes everything. The PGA champion earns that lifetime exemption back into the championship, along with multi-year exemptions into the other 3 majors, effectively locking in their place among the game's elite for years. Or there's also a deep connection to the Ryder Cup, because the PGA of America runs the American Ryder Cup team, and winning their flagship event carries real weight in that world. And then there's the history. The record for most PGA championships is 5, shared by 2 of the greatest ever to play the game, Walter Hagen, the match play king of the 1920s, and Jack Nicklaus, the greatest major champion of all time. Tiger Woods sits just behind them with 4, another marker of just how hard this trophy is to win more than once. To lift the Wanamaker is to write your name onto a list that stretches back over a century, all the way to the very origins of professional golf in America. It is, in every sense, a championship that connects the modern game straight back to its deepest roots. But when you strip it all back, the thing that truly defines the PGA Championship is that original idea, the one baked into it from the very first day. It's the major run by the professionals' own association for the professionals themselves. And so it's the only one that deliberately keeps a door open for the working club pro, the teacher, the pro shop lifer who never quite made it to the tour, but who is still, by trade, a professional golfer. In a sport that can feel impossibly exclusive, and the PGA Championship holds on to a genuinely democratic thread, a yearly reminder that the game's biggest stage still belongs, at least in part, to the people who quietly keep golf alive at the grassroots. It's a small thing, 20 spots out of 156, but it's the soul of the entire championship. Take those 20 spots away and the PGA Championship becomes just another elite event. Keep them, and it stays the one major that never forgot where the professional game actually came from. So that is how the PGA Championship actually works. It's run not by the PGA Tour, but by the PGA of America. the Club Professional's own organization, and it hands out the biggest trophy in the sport, the 27-pound Wanamaker. It spent 4 decades as a match play event before becoming the stroke play major we know today, and it recently traded its spot as the season's finale for a brand new home in May. And uniquely, it saves 20 places every single year for everyday club pros, which is exactly why it's the only major a club professional could ever truly call his own. If you learned something new about golf's most misunderstood major today, do us a favor and hit subscribe. We break down the stories, the traditions, and the hidden rules of this game every single week. And let us know down in the comments, do you think a club professional will ever actually win the PGA Championship? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.